So to move further, we are going to be drafting a UX research question. In this class, we are going to be using a tool called Google Form to create a survey that user can fill and give us feedback. So if you look at my screen, what you're seeing is my Google Drive account. And Google Drive is a tool that helps you utilize Google Form. And to access Google Drive, it's simply visiting drive.google.com. It is written on your screen in case you didn't get that. The first thing you want to do is go to New on your Google Drive and look for Google Form. Click on the arrow and click on Blank Form. This creates a form like this on your screen. As you can see, it's blank. There is nothing on it. Now let's assume you have been contracted to design a product, a mobile saving application that will help user to save money. What are the questions you're going to ask these users in order to get their honest feedback on what are their challenges before designing this product? Of course, you can't just start designing because remember we always said it's user-centered. So let's dive right in. On the untitled area, you want to write the title of your form. The advice I give for the titled area is do not always give them an idea of what you're designing, which means do not tell them that you're designing a mobile saving application. You could tell them you're getting feedback for something related to finance. So instead of using a mobile saving application, we could use financial surveys. This work, you could still think of something that is more easier and something that is more specific. But this is just an example. And then the description, you could let them know that their information is perfectly safe with you, and also let them know that this is just for research purposes. So this is just for research purposes, and your information, and let's use the information shared with us or with me is perfectly safe and anonymous. Now this gives them a sense of confidence, letting them know that okay, I can share this information with this person without really having fear or doubt. All right. Now the first thing we want to do is draft out our first question. Remember we say qualitative questions are questions that help you get feedback from users, open-ended feedbacks where they have to tell you about things just by answering your question. So let's start with a qualitative research question. The first question I want to ask them is something that makes them comfortable so they can go ahead and answer my next question. You don't want to be harsh. You don't want to sound authoritative. Just go simple. And the first thing I'm going to ask is, what are your current saving habits and practices? Now they are going to explain this to you, not just in simple words or in a 2-word answer. They are going to really have to type a full sentence. And then on Google Form, you can also click on these dots to add another question. Now, one thing you should take notice when filling survey forms that you want to send out, you can mix your qualitative research question with your quantitative research question. So you don't want to go all qualitative and then go or quantitative, because your user will actually get bored answering your question. The next one I want to ask is, on average, what percentage of your income do you save? Now, in this case, this is a quantitative question rather. This is a quantitative question. Now I'm giving them an option. And what that means is a multi-choice question. Now, the good thing about Google Form is each time you type a question, Google Form tells you if it's a multi-choice question or a paragraph question. Now, this first one, if you click here, it shows paragraph, which means your answer will be in paragraph. So that tells you this is a qualitative question. And if you click the second one, it's showing multi-choice, which means it's a quantitative question. So my option could be 1, or I could go to my question and then put something that can guide them, like with 5 being the best and 1 being the least. Now I can decide to manually type 1, 2, 3, 4, or I could just use the suggestion add all, and it will add all the options for me. So now they have just one option to pick from, and that is what makes quantitative research. Now we can also decide to go qualitative again by clicking on this plus to add question. And we can tell them, we can ask a question that says, how do you currently track your expenses and manage your budgets? And this also is a qualitative question. That's why it's in paragraph, because they are going to explain to you how they do it. If they use an application, this is where they mention it. And then if you still go further to add more, let's add a quantitative question. Okay, what percentage of your savings do you keep? Now it also shows multi-choice, which tells you that it's a quantitative question. So now you have to give them option like 20%, 50%, 80%. You can still add 10%. So this is just an example of drafting survey question, and I hope you learn from this. Now your question could be as long as possible, but make sure that the questions are easy to answer so you don't bore your user and get them fed up. Now most times when you're sending the survey questions, it's best to send to your target users. So if you're designing a product for a student, do not send your survey question to someone that is not a student, because they will not give you the concrete feedback that you need. On with survey question, how do you send it? First, remember to change the name, and to change the name, you look at the top left where you have untitled form. Once you click on it, it will change to your title, to the title of your form. You can leave it at that or you can modify it. Next you want to do is go to the send button at the top right. Now when you tap on the send button, you will see send via email. The next one is send via link, right? This is what you want to use. And then you see this link here. You can shorten it so it becomes shorter, so you don't have a longer link, and then copy it. So when you copy it, you send that link to your users and they are going to fill the form. Now, when they fill the form, how do you get the feedback? How do you get the answers? You go to responses, and whoever has filled this form is going to show here. So let's do a practical on that. I'm going to send this form to myself. I'm going to fill it out and then you're going to see it. All right. So I've been able to fill the form. And then if you check on the responses tab, you discover you have one response. Now, when you click on that response, you're able to see the answer that I did. So the first question, I said I save when I receive my salary, and I do this always. The next question is, on average, what percentage of my income do I save? And I chose 4, and that is why this is on green, because 1 is blue, 2 is red, 3 is yellow, 4 is green, 5 is purple. Now this thing is generated by Google Form. You don't have to do anything for it. How do I currently track my expenses? I use Google Excel sheets, and it's really stressful because sometimes I forget to save. What percentage of my savings do I keep? I chose 20%, and that is why we have green. So by the time you have lots of people fill this form, you're going to see all their responses and everything. Now remember, you could ask for age because demographic is involved. You could ask for location. You could ask for occupation. This is just an example. Now let's go on to our class and continue from there.